My vision is I work for the people. I want the people to understand what's going on. I know there was allegations where we never knew the jail was in this kind of condition. When I went in and did my first walkthrough, I knew where we were at when the jail was built in 1976 and we were behind. Today, they're in the process of trying to upgrade the jail, and it's time for that to come. Our diligence on the law enforcement front, we stay in the news, we stay on our public information page. It does two things. It's letting you know what we're doing, and also garners the extra mentality of our people saying, hey, there's public trust here because we're transparent. If we mess up, which everybody does, we're going to put it out there. If we do something good, we put it out there. This is a breakdown of our citizens of Nash County, who we serve, how our law enforcement is. It's just a simple breakdown of each shift. I'll give you a quick synopsis of what we're doing. We usually have about 6 on each shift. We're assigned 7. However, with vacation, sick leave, we're usually at 6 people. 543 square miles that we patrol. We have mental transports, and you'll see this later. You can go to the next one. We've not grown that much since I come in office. We were at 137 then, and now we've moved up to 151, which is only a 10% increase. One of those increases is we took a captain's position that we already had, reduced it down in rank to put more patrol guys on shifts for quicker response. Diversity with the sheriff's office at this time, you hear that all over America. You know, what is your diversity picture? I'm very proud of it. We have 42 females, 22 African Americans, 16 Caucasian females, 3 Hispanic females, 1 Native American female. We have 98 males, 72 being Caucasian, 22 being African American, and 4 Hispanic males. Nash County Sheriff's Office calls for service since 2014 has increased by 15.69%. We're averaging around 22,000 calls for service. That's where a deputy has to go out and make contact with somebody. You're running 6 on the shift, and that's the amount of contacts that you're making. They're pretty busy. Mental health transports are statewide. Opioid overdose calls are higher now than they have been. If you've been paying attention to the media, you're having more overdose deaths now than you have in the past. I'm speaking to Brunswick County Sheriff. They were out last night until the middle of the night in the Green Swamp looking for a young man that had overdosed. It's happening every day. It happens here all the time. And that's the reason we're doing the initiatives to reduce that. You got to remember, if there's no initiatives to reduce this stuff coming in, then all it's going to do is increase. Here you've got William Toney. He is talking with actually he's on the side of the road praying with the individual, and this was prior to him being shot on I-95. 32 patrol deputies cover 543 miles. They handle 23,000 calls for service in the past year. We have 4 deputy positions right now where we reduced the captain rank to 2, and then the county give us 2. We're trying to put patrol out there without having to burden the county on costs. So that's what we're working with. Narcotics division, this is one of the big things that I put forth an effort in when I come in. Most of your crimes are going to have narcotics involved in it. It really does not touch the heart and soul of the everyday citizen until it's in their home. And then it's too late. So this is one of the things where we're trying to do. Since I've been in office, 38,728 grams of crack, powder, cocaine, those two together. Marijuana at 75,000 grams. And you can see the different numbers. The one that's alarming is the heroin. It seems to be increasing all the time. And also the methamphetamines is increasing. You go ahead. All right, investigation. Since I've been in office, we've had 19 homicides, which I think is very good. 2 of them are still under investigation. That they're working it diligently, but the other ones are solved. That is a testament to the public trust that our county has in our agency, and also the training and the abilities of the investigative crew that's doing these investigations. Civil Division, concealed handgun permits are at 7,109. Purchase permits are at 18,000. Executions and writs are at 8,000. Total paper process is 67,000, and that's the Civil Division. So you can see how busy they are. Our school resource program has one sergeant that is over all of the school resources and also does DARE, and 5 deputies assigned to high schools and middle schools. I would like to see that in every school. I think that you need that, and what it does is builds that relationship between children and law enforcement for public trust. And that's something that I would like to see done in the future. Highway interdiction team that's on I-95, 24,000 grams of marijuana, 9,000 grams of cocaine, heroin's at 2,000 grams, methamphetamines at 13,000. Cot is a drug that's out of the Middle East, is at 391 grams. Firearms, that's the very disturbing part to me, is the amount of firearms that's going up and down these interstates. And these are illegal firearms, and they're obviously used in the smuggling ring of drugs and money being transported. These are dangerous people. As you can see there, the different pictures on the bottom one on the left-hand side was a group from Myrtle Beach that had did it from 8 to 10 times, come through on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday, and he has 8 kilos of cocaine going back. Where does a lot of people vacation in Myrtle Beach? Obviously our people are there back and forth, and this is what's being put on. The fugitive apprehension on the highway, as you can see, that one on the left there is a fugitive. He is one of the most wanted out of Baltimore, Maryland. He just got out of prison for attempted murder, and he's trying to evade capture. He was one of the stops that was on the interstate that, and still armed with a pistol, and the pistol comes back through a system that we're using, was wanted in an armed robbery and a shooting there. So you can see the dangerous people. The other one is the incident where our officers were engaged in a gun battle with an individual. The Governor's Highway Safety Program is a program that the Governor's Office does through Highway Safety. We got 2 members assigned initially. They pay 80% salary for the first year and the equipment, and then it reduces down every year. We're up for that again, and I would like to see that if we can work with the Governor's Office close enough to maybe get 4 more. Anytime you can work with a grant is a whole lot better than putting the burden back on the county. Federal state asset forfeiture is at $4,071,000. You can see the type of weapons here. These are not the shotguns and the rifles that your family members have in the house for hunting. These are weapons of mass destruction that they have here, and also the amount of currency down here at the bottom. That is an initiative that I started when I came here, working with the different agencies and also with our interdiction program. Criminal activity is most susceptible to being stopped when they're in transit. That's the reason that we have the interdiction team and we have a proactive patrol force, because after it gets into a home, it makes it very difficult. As you can see here, guns, gangs, drug initiatives. The federal partnership is with DEA. I think we have 3 on the DEA, 1 on FBI, 1 on ATF, and 1 on HSI. That's all federal partners that are working with us to help us reduce crime here in the community. It's obvious you can't do it by yourself. The detention facility, usually around 200 inmates. During COVID, it was dropped down, but obviously it's moving forward now. The new addition was slated to begin in the fall of 2021. The older design had safety and security concerns, but we're hoping we can bring that up. The detention division, also we have mental health there. Yearly average of 225 mental health transports. This is going not next door, but all the way across the state of North Carolina, to the coast, to the mountains, to the south, to the north. And it takes one of our patrol people or detention staff to make these transports. And it reduces our proactivity where we are. Public safety, this is just one of the initiatives that we did through Governor's Highway Safety. They work school zones. This was a vehicle that was stopped at Cooper's Elementary. As you can see, there's heroin for personal use. You have marijuana, guns. It just goes back to guns, gangs, and drugs. It can happen in the schools. It can happen anywhere in the community, but that's one of the arrests through the proactive policing they did. Policing for a safer tomorrow is what we're about. As you can see, the individuals here, it's not for their personal use. You hear it all the time. Well, what about the big guys? What about the ones that are doing it? What about the suppliers? That's the end we're trying to attack, is the people that's bringing it in here. Obviously, the street dealer, if it's not here, you can't peddle it on the streets. So that's the reason we're trying to do it at the higher end. This is our special response team. We put together a SWAT team when I first come in office. As you've seen across America, the violence that's associated with it, you need a special team now. As you saw Sheriff Womble, that type of law enforcement is not designed to go in houses with the type of ammunition and guns that you saw in the earlier pictures we have. Our community events, we try to be big into the community. I believe in anything we can do to touch children. If you can touch children at a young age, it might make a demonstrated difference for them to be successful. We have the Sheriff's Christmas, where the unfortunate kids, we try to do Christmas for them. In the spring and fall, we do hot dogs with kids, try to go into areas and do this, Meals on Wheels, Halloween for kids, just an array of different things that we're doing there. You cannot focus enough on doing things and putting that uniform where kids are. It's just what makes kids later maybe have that second thought of doing something. Training is a big thing with me. I come from the training division with the Highway Patrol when I retired. I implemented the leadership training program. One is through North Carolina State University, which is AOMP, the Administrative Officer Managed Program. Usually it's a 10-week to a 13-week program. We also send members to the University of Louisville, Kentucky for Southern Police Institute, the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. And recently, we've started the Homeland Security Executive Program in Monterey, California. Develop supervisors and the young ones below you so that this type of leadership, you hear all the time, well, what are we going to do with policing? We need to reform policing. Policing needs three things, I think, to be successful. One, they need good leadership. Second, they need good training. But the third thing that nobody's talking about is you've got to have the right employee to get out here and do this. They talk about de-escalation. They talk about training and the ability to communicate with people. It starts with the employee. A lot of y'all are business people. You understand you can't take somebody that does not have those abilities and make them have it. Governor Cooper, I'll echo the words of him. He says benefit packages and pay have to be increased. You've got to have something lucrative for a good person coming along today out of college to say, hey, I think this is a career I want to go in. But it has to be lucrative enough for that individual to be able to survive. And that's one of the things I'm pushing for, is to pay for employees. Community involvement, we can't have enough of that. You got to stay involved, to have the public trust, and also for the community to know who you are so they can pick up their phone and call when they see criminal activity. And it happens all the time. As you saw last week with the individuals that were arrested, it all comes from tips. It comes from starts. We've got phenomenal officers, but they don't just generate through thought of the criminal activity that's going on. It takes tips to do that. That's the reason we try to stay very positive and stay in the forefront of the community. Fiscal budget. In 2014 through 15, we were at 10 million, and today we're at 13 million. 24% increase, and that's usually about a 4 or 5% increase in what a company would like to have in a year, and that's about where we're at. Actually, a little bit lower than that. I want to take this time now to talk to you and find out what's on your mind, the questions you always say, well, I want to ask the sheriff. I'm here, I'm an open book, ask me, because I'm sure somebody else would want to know also. Yes, ma'am?
just attended your press conference. That was very impressive. Would you just quickly, briefly talk about the drug bust that your department just did along with the U.S. Attorney?
That was an investigation that was started through Nash County Sheriff's Office and Tarboro Police Department. A Tarboro detective makes contact with our office about criminal activity in another county. Our investigator here in the county started the investigation, and it led to an abundance amount of heroin that was being transported from New Jersey to Scotland Neck to every community around here. It has been going on for many years, and it just took that one tip to start it. I believe in working with the federal government. We've got several large investigations going on with the federal government at this time. The punishment is usually sincere and it's quick. If you look at your state courts and not anything with that, there's a homicide in another county. It's been 4 years and they're still sitting in jail waiting to get there. Even with your kids, you need to understand you have to have swift and sincere. If the kid does something wrong and you wait weeks or months to go back, you think you're going to get any correction out of that? That's the way I feel. You know, and the young people in the streets today, they need to understand, if I do this, I'm going to prison, and I'm going pretty quick, and I'm going to be there for a while. It's not going to be go up here to the county and then come right back home and start doing the same thing again. Thank you.
Keith, sometimes I wonder, should I address you as governor or reverend or president? I was there, maybe reverend, did a good job. Since I haven't announced Mary's seat yet, I can ask any question I want to ask, I guess. If I go out to my trailer, which is in the reservoir area, and accidentally drop 220 charge on it, do you think that might help our theft out there in that area where they're taking trailers and lawnmowers, et cetera? How much time would I get?
I was just in a parking lot, and the individual walked up to me, he noticed me, and I didn't think he even knew who I was, and he walked over, he said, "You know what I'm buying?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "Some locks for a trailer." No, I can tell you, and I've not even been here, but whenever, and they will, when they get caught, I guarantee you somebody should have already been in jail already. We just had the incident with the mall last week where the guys had 50-round magazines, 9mm handguns. They're selling drugs, they've got guns. They're in the most business district in the city of Rocky Mount. And they're walking around with handguns loaded, getting out of the cars back and forth with it. And there's a $1,000 bond put on it. You know, the bond system is set up for two things. One, to ensure that you come to court, and the other is the safety of the public. Do you think this man's changed his behavior? That's where we're at. But our guys work relentlessly every day, and you know, that's where we're at. We're trying to reduce crime through enforcement and trying to be proactive.
I guess the backup question is that, are these trailers being stolen out of the yard, the front yard sometimes, or are they put away in storage and make a little extra hard for them to get through?
I think the more difficult you make it, the easier the easier they'll go down the road and say, "Oh, let me go find one that's easy." Anything that you can do to make it more difficult, not to say that sometimes they do these things, but you know, it's criminal activity. It goes back to drugs. You know, these people will do whatever they can to make the money to be able to get drugs.
I don't leave my golf cart nor my lawnmower outside, so it's that easy. So I make it pretty safe.
Keeping the visibility low is the number one thing you can do.
Lights on in the yard.
Lights, motion lights are the best. Don't have the lights all the time because that'll just light it to make it easier to see it.
Motion light.
Sheriff Stone, thank you for what you do with your deputies on a daily basis to take care of us. Several years ago, you talked about partnership or working relationship with the city of Rocky Mount. Has that improved over the last, since you spoke to us a few years back? And I know you have a great working relationship with Edgewater County, including Atkinson, and grateful for what they do over there. But just can you speak to that and relationships and how that's working for you now?
Well, I guess I'm spoiled because Clee Atkins is not only the sheriff in Edgecombe County, but he's one of my best friends. Carlos Williams is here today with Edgecombe. He's captain with Sheriff's Department of Edgecombe County. Thank you for being here. You know, that relationship is so tight that we speak every day, 2 or 3 times a day, not only on the law enforcement front, but on the friendship front. So that is hard to gauge with other agencies. However, we have a good working relationship with all agencies, from the smallest police department to the largest. Partnership is what it's about, to make a demonstrated difference in the communities. Our narcotics division is working very closely with their narcotics division for the common goal of making it safer in the community. We just finished up one large investigation here where all 3 agencies, Edgecombe, Rocky Mount, and Nash County, and Nashville PD, worked an investigation on a federal investigation that proved to be very lucrative for the front of being safe in the future.
Sheriff Stone, first of all, I want to commend y'all for the relationship y'all have with the National Social Services Department. And, I read the article recently where y'all are going to start having them kind of co-respond after y'all secure the area to go and take care of any mental health issues. Afterwards, I think it's a very beneficial partnership and very, provides a lot of foresight to our community. So definitely want to commend you guys on that. But in the article, it also mentioned saving on kind of personnel, and kind of where is the state of do we have enough officers in the area, and what can our community do to help recruit officers, and what is your office doing to help recruit folks as well?
Thank you. Several things I want to get there. One is you've got to be a professional agency to draw people to you. I think we've got maybe 2 openings at this time. I'm very pleased with that. But individuals understand that, hey, we're going to send you to training. We're going to try to do what we can to enhance the professionalism. Nash County Sheriff's Office will, in the next few months, be CALEA certified. There is less than 10 sheriff's offices in North Carolina that meet the benchmark of excellence. That's what I'm so proud of my deputies every day, of the ability to go from being way off base with this in a few short years, having the policies and procedures and the way that we do business to be able to be CALEA certified. When I first come in office, the policy procedure manual was very outdated. At this time, we have the state-of-the-art policy procedure, so one of my deputies, if he don't know, he can go straight to the computer, pull up on the computer what the policy is about whatever he needs to know. And that makes a difference in the training. The social worker program was not through the county. It was a grant that Chief Brandon Medina found, and it's through Trillium, an offset of Trillium, and it's one of the first. I'm very aggressive about working gangs, guns, and drugs, but I also understand the compassion component that was one of our core values of a lot of these people are mental that's there. I can't deal with that. I'm a good law enforcement officer, and I think I'm pretty compassionate, and I might can find maybe something to help you, but for the long term, I'm not too good at that. It's not my job to do that. This, with the social services and that mindset and the education and training that they have, has the ability to stay with this individual that has been an ongoing problem, to work with them with drug abuse, with domestic violence, and help people work through programs. This was huge when we started this. We have 2, and I want to make it grow. Yes, we're not going to send the social service worker into shots fired and things of that nature. That's for our law enforcement officers. But what there is a place for is on the back end to come in and do this. I think it's a very good program. I'm very proud of it. I think that it's going to prove to be a benchmark for other law enforcement to follow.
Sheriff Sanders.
Yes.
We've known each other a long time, so I feel comfortable in doing this. Our premier project that we do is Tackle the Tar. And a couple weeks ago, we had Chief Hassel here, and I challenged him to put together a team for our May Tackle the Tar for next year. I'd like to challenge you and your deputies to also put together a team for Tackle the Tar, and the funds go to help Nash and Edgecombe community colleges in Westland.
Now, you know we have already been participating in that.
Yes, I do.
So,
I will remind
hey,
you.
we're gonna be right back out there again.
Sure, Stump. As you know, we have a new park in this town, and if we ever get the rocks off the field and get the bathrooms built, there's gonna be thousands of people out there, high traffic. What policy do you have in effect now to control the parks, and how would that be handled?
We do that, we patrol the parks and do that. These parks are nice. My daughter, my 11-year-old is into softball, and I'm all over every park around here. If there's a softball game anywhere, she knows about it at 11 years old, and she's gonna be in it. It don't matter how hot it is or how late, she's gonna be there. We patrol these parks, but that's the reason also that I want to push this governor's highway safety initiative to obtain 4 more officers so that we can be there. It's not only the park safety, but the roads that are joining it, slowing that traffic down when people are stopping and turning, and also kids that play.
I guess more specifically, I was wondering if, when those parks are in high gear, so to speak, lots of people out there, will there be an officer occasionally spending a little time in the park with the people?
I hope so, and I hope that you can work with my commissioners to give me more help than having 6 officers for 543 miles. It makes it very difficult to do these type things with such a small number of officers with mental transports and that. I would love to have 7 and 8 deputies on the shift so that we can do more of that, but obviously, we try to be in those areas.
We got one back here.
Yes, sir.
Sean, I think you mentioned that we've got some folks from Edgecombe County here too.
We do. We've got our captain with the sheriff's office there, who we're very proud of, with the strong work relationship we have between the two.
So, since we've already called out Nash County and, Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County, y'all gonna join us as well?
Sir, I would be more than happy to get with Sheriff Atkinson to join that team.
Okay.
Your primary enlisting when you were elected was gangs, guns. How many gangs do we have in the county? And how many gangs do we have in the city?
Obviously, you're gonna have more in the city because it's a closer group network there. We have them in the county too. Their county and city, and there's a lot of gangs going on. It might be from a street corner gang to MS-13. And you got to remember, it's gang, guns, and drugs. And there was a slide up here I would have showed you of the largest methamphetamine seizure that has been up and down the roads here in North Carolina, one of the largest ones at the time in Nash County. This is all coming back to cartels. Heroin, methamphetamines that we're dealing with that looks like crystal ice, and any of these other strong, cocaine, crack, none of that is generated in your backyard. It's all coming across that border. When we were all coming up, all of your heroin was coming across throughout Southeast Asia. Today, it's coming across the border out of the mountain regions of Mexico. And it's all started because some states allowed growing marijuana in the United States. It was a lucrative business for the cartels. Now that business is not as strong because we have states growing it, and they're growing it in backyards and everything else. Well, obviously, they cultivate those fields and what they plant them in, opioids. And then you move towards this other. It's all a business concept, from cartels to gangs. We just did an arrest on some gang members here. If you look in the paper, these are violent people. They have committed crime after crime after crime, and the communities are scared to say anything because they live beside these people, and they're highly criminal people. That's the reason I like this federal court system. It gets them out of the community quickly and severe punishments.
So the gangs that are getting their support from out of state, can they be charged with federal?
We just charged some last week. If you looked out of New Jersey, they were bringing, not only did we arrest the couriers and the suppliers here, we went and reached out with DEA and went all the way into New Jersey and arrested them.